Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our today's session. I am Shruti Agrawal, your host for the day. At GeneCube, we support early stage startups in learning, building, and scaling through expert led programs and ecosystem support. Our today's session focuses on customer retention and churn optimization. In today's competitive landscape, acquiring customers is just the start. Retaining them and reducing churn is key to sustainable growth. Understanding customer behavior, improving engagement, and building loyalty are essential for long term success, and that's what we will explore today. We are honored to have with us Mr. Amitava Baksi, sir, an accomplished industry leader with over 37 years of experience at Tata Steel, where he served as Chief Procurement Officer, managing global operations with an annual spend of over $4 billion. He is currently an independent director at Arush Metal Casting Limited and has also served as MD at Gemipol, where he led the company to 4x revenue growth and 2x profitability in just 5 years. With deep expertise in strategic sourcing, supply chain management, and business transformation, he brings valuable insights into building efficient and sustainable businesses. Let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Amitabh Bakshi, sir. Over to you, sir, and again, welcome to G.
Thank you, Shruti, and good afternoon to all the participants. I'm actually not able to see how many participants are there. Shruti, can you please help me with that?
They'll join the session.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible now.
Sir, people are joining the session. Can we continue our session as it is already live?
Okay. So, is there a screen in which I can see them all together?
No, sir, there won't be any screen. It's a YouTube live session.
It's a YouTube live session. Okay. Right. Hello. Yeah, and good afternoon, everybody. I hope my screen is visible to all. Shruti, can you please confirm?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. So today we will discuss about customer retention and churn optimization, right? So what is it all about? It's about understanding the user behavior and improving the long-term growth of business. Now, as you all know, that business is completely dependent on the key stakeholder, which is the customer. And what is most important for the business is to acquire customers, to retain them, and to monitor and maintain the churn in the customer segment in business. Now, going forward, let us understand what is customer retention. So, it measures the ability of business to keep its users engaged over time. And which are the three pillars with which one has to keep the users engaged? One is the usefulness of the product, second is user satisfaction, and third is consistency of value delivery. So essentially, high retention means users find ongoing value in the product. That's the bottom line, and that's how you will continue to retain customers for your business. Now let's understand why retention matters. As they say, 5% increase in retention can increase your profit up to 95%. Now that's a whopping number, right? Now what all KPIs actually add up to this profit increase? First and foremost, if there is an increase in retention, you don't have to acquire new customers to that extent. So which means that lower acquisition cost. Second is repeat purchase. Retention will lead to repeat purchase, and and that will increase your revenue. The third is the customer long term value. It increases exponentially because of retention leading to repeat purchase. Fourth, it improves the margin from the lower cost to serve. Because if you are able to retain your customers, it means that you have committed customers who have probably built a habit of getting into your platform and product. So it's a profit multiplier. As it increases the revenue, reduces the cost, and compounds over time simultaneously. So while there is a myth that if you want to grow your customer, you constantly acquire new customers. If you want to grow in business, however, the theme should be that if you want a sustainable growth engine in your business, it is retention. Now let us understand what is churn. So it's the percentage of users who stop using the product within a given period. So it directly indicates loss of users and also loss of potential revenue. So it helps identifying gaps in your product experience or value delivery. Right? So retention and churn, they are inversely related. High retention, low churn, low retention, high churn. And monitoring both will give you the complete view of user behavior. So let's understand in a little bit more details why retention is so critical. So it's a key indicator, as they say, for long-term business viability, as it reduces dependency on continuous user acquisition, improving the customer lifetime value, strengthening the product market fit validation, and fourthly, supporting the predictable and stable revenue growth. So as you can see, very simple. Users who've returned to your product divided by total users into 100 is retention. Measuring how many users continue using the product after initial interaction. And it can be tracked daily, weekly, or monthly depending on your business model. Now look at this retention curve. So it's a very typical retention curve in business where time in months is in x-axis and retention percentage is in y-axis. And you can see a steep drop during the first 3 months. That is related to onboarding issues. And then you get a flat tail, which essentially means you have a strong product. So, friends, only a strong product will not be enabling you to retain your customers. It's extremely important that you have your onboarding process for your new customers very clearly laid out and properly executed to reduce this steep drop in the retention curve. So, why startups fail? So, as I was indicating earlier, they're focusing too much on customer acquisition. Now, that leads to higher customer acquisition cost, more advertisements, more marketing expense, more travel to customer sites, offices, etc. The second one, as we just now saw, is not a very good process of onboarding. And that's a killer, because if you work hard to acquire a customer but not able to onboard them properly in the first few months, you will lose them. Third is the product market misfit. So you have to be very clear which is the market segment for your particular product, so that you are able to attract and focus on the right market segment for your product. Fourth is the customer feedback loop. If you don't have it, then definitely you're not able to hear your customer's voice. And if you want to continuously improve your product, if you want to continuously be close to your customer, the first and foremost thing is to be able to hear customer voice. And last but not the least, which we just now explained a little while back also, that have the right customer segment. Otherwise, your startup might fail. Treating all customers same may not work in business. Now let's look at churn measurement. So churn rate tracks how many users discontinue usage over a period. Now it can be because of poor onboarding, lack of immediate value, or low engagement. So early churn is the most critical metric to the monitor. Now there are four types of churns. One is voluntary. Customer chooses to leave. It may be because of various things, various reasons. The second is involuntary. There is a payment failure from the customer side, or there can be an expiry in the contract, etc. The third is onboarding failure. That's early churn at the onboarding stage. And as we saw little while back in our retention curve, that's a very steep, loss of customers or a high churn rate. And last one is the late churn, which is value erosion. And over a period of time, the customer loses to see value in continuing with your product. And that's how they kind of churn out. Now, user lifecycle perspective. Let's look at it. So they move through different stages, right? First and foremost is the acquisition stage, where you woo the customer, you market your product, you spend time with your customer to show them the value of your product, and then attract them. The second is activating, correct? So that's where the customer kind of picks up your product, signs a contract with you. So they are now you know at the active stage. The third one is the engagement stage, where the usage is kind of stabilizes and the customer continuously uses your product. The fourth is the retention, where you retain the customer constantly. And last can be the drop off, when the customer you know decides to discontinue. So where do the most churns occur? So it's at the acquisition to activation stage, where while you may be showing them a good product, but at that stage of activation they do not see the value of the product as much as their probably cost that they are incurring. And the second is activation to engagement. And this is the onboarding part of it, right? That once you activate the customer, you have to properly onboard them and engage them so that they are able to uh, start using your product and builds a habit of using your product. These are the two stages where it is seen that most churns occur. Now, what are the key factors influencing retention? One is the clarity of product value. That's very important for the customer to get proper clarity of the value that they will get from the product. Once this clarity comes in, it definitely helps in retaining a customer. The second one is the ease of use with less complexity, as they say. So the product should be easy to use so that customers and users feel comfortable and they don't need to get into too much of complexity to use the product. Third is the speed of achieving first meaningful outcome. Very important. As they say, the low hanging fruit. How quickly can you pluck the low hanging fruit? Your initial success, that will definitely attract the customer more towards your product and help in retaining them. And fourthly, sorry, this is a misprint here. Fourthly, it is the consistency in user experience. So the user experience has to be consistent with your product. If the user finds that at various stages of the product there are different complications, and it is not consistent in ease of use, or it is not consistent with the hardware systems, then definitely that impacts the retention. So it improves when users quickly understand and benefit from the product. Now, friends, let us identify the churn points. We've seen the 5 stages of users journey with your business. So we have to analyze where the users stop engaging. Is it after sign up, or is it after first use, or after initial interaction? Because this is where, when you analyze, you kind of understand the friction points in your product. You identify them and improve the specific stages of user journey. This slide is very important, friends, and please always keep this in mind, that you have to constantly monitor and analyze where the users are actually reducing their engagement with your product. So basic retention improvement approach. So how can you improve the retention in your business? The theme line is focus on improving the initial user experience. Very important, huh? Initial user experience. Because as they say, that if the first interaction is good, then it stays in the mind of the user. It shapes the mind of the user. And that is why the initial experience is so important. So simplify your onboarding process. Don't make it too complicated. The user should feel comfortable in your onboarding process. Reduce unnecessary steps or features. So, study your product carefully to see whether you have unnecessary steps or data entry or features in your product, which will make the product not easy for use. Third is provide clear guidance to users. This is very important because users, and they will take some time to get into the habit of using your product. So you have to provide them clear guidance, which kind of becomes their ready reckoner, and they can fall back on whenever they need it at during their initial experiences. And fourth is ensuring easy early value delivery. We've emphasized upon it earlier also that there should be value delivery as early as possible so that it creates a good impression of the product in the minds of the user and the initial user experience is better. So, so these are the 5 R's in the retention framework. First and foremost, right customer. Target the correct segment for your product. Avoid a bad fit acquisition. Many times in our, initial enthusiasm to acquire new customers, we kind of, you know, overcome it, where, the our product may not fit their requirement very well, but we overcome it and we try to woo them. Avoid it. It's a bad fit, and it will unnecessarily, consume a lot of your resources, your physical energy, your human resource, your, even monetary resources maybe, to kind of, customize the product to the customer's requirement. The second is the right onboarding process. So the first aha moment is very important, and we've emphasized on it earlier also. And time to value should be, less. Customers don't want to listen. Sir, please wait. Madam, please wait. Please use the product for some time. You will start seeing the value. No, they want to see the value as quickly as possible. So your product should have a very low time to value. Third is right engagement process. Constantly nudge your customers or prospective customers, the new ones. Send them polite reminders. Provide them some contents. Because what is more important is to continuously engage with them till they form a habit of using your product. So the habit formation is what is very important. Fourth is right value delivery. Okay. So what it means? So if there are real problems in the product, solve them consistently and improve the stickiness in the product. The product should not, kind of have sticky interruptions, etc., which kind of increases the irritation level of the users. And lastly, it is the right relationship. So, what is more important is the customer support, the trust you build with the customer, as well as the personalization that you provide to your customers. So, friends, these are the 5 R's of retention framework. And if you follow them, I'm sure your retention percentage will go up significantly and you will have to spend less cost in acquiring new customers. And your retention percentage increase will provide you higher growth in revenue. So we spoke about, you know, proper onboarding process. So how? So friends, the guided journeys are very important because customer always wants to see how the product kind of, you know, delivers the results, because seeing is believing. So guided journeys are very important. The second is reducing time to value. I think we spoke about that. First success milestone, celebrate it with the customer. Make him realize, make her realize that, you know, how good the success was, how fast it has come, and how valuable it has been. Engagement strategy, because the next most important part of the or R of retention is the engagement. So as they say, notifications. So notify your customers with your product improvements. But friends, be careful. Don't over notify also. Because when you over notify, that also irritates the customer. So please send notifications which are of value, which the customer always, you know, reads and adopts if required. Constantly keep them, keep in touch with them over WhatsApp, email, etc. Gamification, another very useful engagement tool. Try to provide some gamification tools with the customers, related to your product, so that you are able to, engage them better. And if you do all this, you will work towards building a habit of using the product in your customers. So continuous monitoring and feedback, tracking user behavior regularly, always seek customer feedback through surveys, through direct interaction, so that you are able to get, you know, listen to the customer voice, which will help you in improving your product, refining your product and experience. So what are the key metrics for you? First and foremost is the retention rate. So it's the number of customers that you have today minus the number of customers you have acquired divided by the number of customers at the start. That's the retention rate that you have to constantly monitor. How many of them have actually come back into business, into your using your tool? The second is churn rate. That's customers lost divided by customers at start. This is something, is not a, it's a negative KPI, and lower the better. Now, customer lifetime value, that's also another very important uh, measure, wherein it actually measures the revenue a customer has generated over the entire lifetime of his of their business with you. And the objective of all of us should be improving and, increasing the customer lifetime value as much as possible. And retention is one which will increase the customer lifetime value exponentially. We have seen that earlier. Now, to do all this, definitely you need to constantly analyze your customer behavior. And that's where, you do this cohort analysis. You analyze, you kind of group your customers, whether they are at the acquisition stage or there are cohorts or groups of customers who have similar behaviors. So you know form these cohorts of customers and constantly analyze the retention amongst them or the churn rate. This cohort analysis gives you a lot of understanding that at the acquisition stage, whether you are losing customers more, whether your retention percentage is improving, or in a particular behavioral uh, you know group of customers with similar behavior, whether you are able to understand what are the gaps if you have to improve the retention. So these are the key metrics, friends, you have to constantly work on, monitor, and see what are the actionables from these results. So we all heard of these companies, Zepto, right? Quick commerce, 10-minute delivery. Now it has built a habit. Every household has today forgotten to really buy groceries or any household item on a monthly basis. Earlier times, we've seen our parents, we've seen in our earlier days that monthly grocery is to come. But now, sorry, there is no monthly grocery in many households or most of the households. Because we know if there is anything we require, we just have to, order it on the platform and you get it in 10 minutes. So high frequency usage, that's how it kind of has generated. I mean, Zepto or Blinkit or such kind of, quick commerce companies are probably coming to your doorstep more than 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. Because you've just ordered something, you got it. After that, you remember, no, no, I have to order this also. I have to get this also. I have to get that also. So that's how, high frequency usage happens. And all this is convenience. So leading to customer retention. Nika, we all know about this company, correct? So how are they doing their business? Through contents. So they are presenting contents on their sites, on their apps, and that's kind of generating the commerce for them. They build trust. So trust is the important factor over here, and that is driving repeat purchase. And last but not the least, personalization. They are able to provide as much personalization as possible in the virtual world, but you are able to see whether this product is suitable for you or not, for your you know for your persona or not, for your products, for your household or not. So finally, the key takeaways, its retention reflects the true effectiveness of your product. I think that's what we've been talking about all this while, that if your product is effective, you will lead to retention. But what is more important is that you onboard your customers effectively and engage with them. Second is churn highlights areas needing improvement. So constantly do cohort analysis and monitor the churn rates to understand which are your improvement areas. This will lead to users consistently returning to your product and product continuously delivering value. So friends, retention is not a one-time effort. It's a continuous optimization process. You have to constantly work on retention. Thank you. This is all I had to share with you, but open for questions and answers if that is provided in the system. Shruti?
Yes, sir, we have a question, which is what mistakes do startups commonly make in retention strategy?
Okay.
What mistakes do startups commonly make in retention strategy?
No, very important. Retention is something if you remember, I had provided this 5 R's in retention. Are you able to see my screen? Shruti, is my screen visible on the 5 R retention framework?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, friends, I had, you know, spent time on this particular slide. Choose the right customer. Startups, in their enthusiasm, try to acquire any customer that comes in their way, but target the correct segment and avoid any bad fit acquisition. Bad fit with your product. If your customer requirement, if you understand that your customer requirement is not fitting your product, don't go overboard to try to acquire that customer. Don't go overboard to try to customize your product to their requirement, because that actually escalates your acquisition cost, etc. Second is the right onboarding process. The first value moment should be as important and aha as possible, and time to value should be as less as possible. The third is the right engagement process. Work towards building a habit in the customers to use your product. Your value delivery should be right, solving the real problems consistently of the customer, and improve product stickiness. Your product should be easy flowing, it should be easy to use. And lastly, it's about the right relationship with the customer. Support the customer at all times, build trust with them, and build that personalization between you and the customer. So these are the things which, if the startups don't follow, they actually start losing customers and retention becomes a challenge.
Yes. Sir, we are kind of running out of time, so we'll be ending our session here itself. Thank you so much for such an insightful and wonderful session. The content was really good, and you kind of made this concept very clear to all of us. On behalf of GeneCube, we truly appreciate your time and the valuable knowledge you have shared with us today. And thanks to all our participants for joining us. We look forward to seeing you all in our upcoming sessions. Have a great day ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you.